Dang, Varric. Oh, is this thing on? Hi, I'm Jeff. Welcome to Spice Runners Lounge.
Hello there. This is General Kenobi. Hey, this is David from Black Spire Broadcast.
Hey, I'm Todd Freeman, also known as Toad.
Hey guys, Appetite for Collectibles here.
Well, hey, I'm Seth with Rogue Squad Garage.
Hey, it's J2SO.
Hi, I am Mark. Welcome to the Space Runners Lounge.
This is Joel Hazy at Hazy Customs.
Hi, I'm Jason.
Yo, this is Evan the Collector.
Yo, it's your man Flex, and you're watching the Spice Runners Lounge.
Hey, this is Brian from Brian Makes Dioramas, and you're watching the Spice Runners Lounge.
And you are watching the Spice Runners Lounge.
And welcome to the Spice Runners Lounge.
Welcome to Spice Runners Lounge.
And welcome to the Spice Runners Lounge.
Welcome to the Spice Runners Lounge.
And you're watching Spice Runners Lounge.
Welcome to Spice Runners Lounge.
And welcome to the Spice Runners Lounge.
Welcome to Spice Runners Lounge.
Join me and together we can rule the galaxy.
And welcome to the Spice Runners Lounge.
Welcome to the Spice Runners Lounge, where we hang out and talk dang fair. I am your host, Evan the Collector, here with a special guest tonight. We have Michael McMaster, Master Droid Builder. That's what I've been calling him, but you probably seen his work on TV, movies, probably at a celebration. So happy to have you here, Michael.
Absolutely. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's an honor for us. It's an absolute honor. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Definitely an honor. Shortly, Gordon Tarpley is going to join us too. So we're going to have him on in a little bit. So appreciate you guys for being here on a Friday night. All right.
This is where I would normally be on Friday night, by the way.
Right.
In the shop.
Yeah, if you're over 20,
honest.
if you're over 20, this is where you are, right? That's just that. Just
This
happens.
is my
part of
rave.
life.
Sanding parts.
There you go. There you go. So for everybody out there, if this is your first time on the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss any of these episodes. Say what's up to everybody here in the panel real quick. Of course, we just welcome Michael. Again, Michael, thank you for being here. Scott Berry, welcome again.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We got Jeff. Welcome back, Jeff. Different background. Looking good.
Yeah. Starting to add back. Add back.
Joel Hazy. Welcome back, Joel.
Hey guys, thanks for showing up.
See, thanks for showing up.
Otherwise, it would just be Joel. Hi.
I've been drinking. I'm trying to be good.
Good luck. Good luck.
Thanks for showing up, Joel.
And Jason, J2SO.
Hey, everybody.
Let's go ahead and greet the chat real quick. Got a lot of people up in here. So we got Justin Antini Designs.
What's up,
hey,
Justin?
man. Happy birthday, by the way.
Yes.
Yep.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Oh, I think we got a Gordon. There he is.
Oh, you want to add him in?
Yep, I got him.
What is up, Gordon? We move him up here so we can see him on the top
I
row.
just did that, and you switched me.
There you go.
There he is.
His camera is plugged in.
Nice.
Nice. Plugged in.
And he's working on microphone now too.
It's all good. We'll keep going. We got Izzy Collects. What's up, Izzy Collects? How you doing?
Hey.
Got Diana. How's it going?
Diana. Droids. Yes.
Got Jawa Star Wars Collector. How's it going?
Can you hear me now? Yes.
Loud and clear. Welcome, Gordon.
We got Dan.
Sorry for the delay here. I was trying to make my room not suck so bad. And then I was like, no problem. I got plenty of time. And then I sat down and I could not find the cable for my camera. So the whole point of making my room look cooler, I mean, as cool as it's going to get today. No arms on the droids, but, It
doesn't look sucky at all, so you did a good job.
Yeah,
Probably late.
Cool, man.
All the garbage is beneath me here.
Me too.
Just saying hi to the chat real quick. What's up, Jedi Shizzle? Pat's fan.
That's
What's up, Pat?
Xena 5151.
Xena. Todd.
Toad.
Gap After Dark. How you doing?
What's up, Gap?
I think I said hi to Kaz. If I didn't, say hi, Kaz. How you doing?
Hey, Kaz.
Yeah, Michael Lannon in the house.
Hey, Michael.
Every time Michael Lannon shows up in Rogue 5 Cantina on Sundays, Joe always think it's Michael Landon from Touched by an Angel. You know,
Little House on the Prairie.
House on the Prairie, yeah.
What's up, Elijah?
What's up, Elijah? How you
Flex?
doing? Got Shane West on the house. Wandering Tatooine.
Hey, brother.
Got some grilled cheese in here. What's going on?
now I want grilled cheese. Hey, Zach, how you doing? Every time I say it, I want a grilled cheese sandwich. I don't know why. I just do.
With fish sticks.
Yeah, no fish sticks. No, with grilled cheese.
Okay,
no.
Got Rex from Millennium Workshop.
What's up, Rex?
Sean, scruffy looking stone.
My brother.
Sean, we need to get together this weekend.
Bernard Stokes, what's going on?
What's up, Bernard?
Rogue 5 Cantina.
There he is, Joe.
There he is.
Yep, check him out. Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. Got our boy Billy in here from Ohio.
Hey, Billy.
So he's so excited he can't hide it. He's about to do some spice, and I think he likes.
Yeah, but now you got to put the theme in your head. Now that's stuck in my head. So thank you, Billy.
I know, right? Galaxy Garage in the house.
Hey, Galaxy.
We got the Medina Lorian.
George. Oh, I got his shirt on today.
Nice. They did a good episode with Seth the other day, the spicy conversations. Jose, what's going on, Jose? Welcome.
What's up, Jose?
And let's see, our Divius. Darth Musa.
What if I'm 20? He says. Yeah.
That's funny. Got Rebel Scum in the house. What's up, dude?
What's up?
And we're all caught up. Yes, I did that fast.
Wow,
That's like a
you
record
did that
time.
really fast.
That's a record, man.
It normally takes us 20 to 30 minutes to go through everybody. Just being honest. That's what it takes.
Miss Gordon. So
there's Gordon. Hey, people. I'm in the chat too.
I don't owe you dinner. I miss you.
It is great to meet you, Gordon.
Well,
I've been a long time follower. I follow your work.
Heck yeah. Yeah, really,
I was going to comment that the droids have no arms, though. So
Chewbacca was here hanging out.
Yeah,
and all the droids are sad now.
They've been playing.
There it goes. Muted the mic. I made a good joke and it was a fail, so I'm never saying it again.
I laughed.
See, I have this for Michael. So my little R2 container. So
Extra points. By the way, Beard's on point too there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I worked really hard for this.
Chia Pet works great.
Takes a while.
Yeah. Yeah, so thanks guys for being here tonight. I know you guys are out in California, so hopefully the weather is good. You know, most of us are scattered all over the U.S. here. I'm in Florida. J2SO's in Florida. Joe's somewhere up north, Washington. Yep. And Jeff is in
Boston, Maine, somewhere up there.
Let's get it wrong.
Evan always gets my state wrong, even though we've been hung out together for so long now. I'm in New Hampshire, so
I always call it Vermont. It's all the same thing, you know.
Vermont, New England,
New Hampshire, Maine, Boston,
right?
Massachusetts,
all right there.
It's all New
Yeah,
England.
Gordon was a Florida.
Yeah, I'm a Floridian, native Floridian.
Nice.
So am I. I just moved to New Hampshire. I don't know why. I'm crazy, but
New Hampshire's pretty though. I've been up there. I like it. What part are you in?
I'm in just outside of basically Manchester, Merrimack.
But close to the mountains at all?
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah, like 30 minutes.
Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah.
Go out there and Blair Witch all the Appalachian Trail hikers.
Yeah, exactly.
Picking rocks together in the middle of the night.
Yeah, we make stick, figures with fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be my only hobby if I lived up there. It was just go terrorize people that are hikers with creepy artwork,
Because we wouldn't get shot.
Nope.
Yeah, I was gonna say New Hampshire. They just
not
shoot
in my
you.
Bigfoot suit.
You'd be scaring everybody away.
And this is why Gordon is here.
Yeah. I was gonna say, Jeff, did you move from Florida to New Hampshire just so you could have a basement?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's worth it actually.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah, so let's get the show going. So we have Michael and Gordon. So both of you guys have been doing stuff for years. I guess we can start with Michael. Michael, can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself? Like, what makes you famous in the Star Wars universe?
So saw Star Wars when I was 11. Immediately fell in love with the droids. Prior to that, I was already interested in robots. I had already seen, at a very young age, Forbidden Planet. I'd come home from school every day and watch reruns of Star Trek and Lost in Space. So I love the B9 robot, the cardboard B9 when I was about 10 years old and ran around in it all summer. I wish I had photos of it. But I was already interested in robots and jumped forward to 2001. I wanted to build a droid for my kids. Initially, it was going to be a small remote controlled thing. And then I discovered a Yahoo group, the R2 Builders Club, which at the time had about 500 members. I think now we're over 30 or 40,000 members.
Wow.
Who knows how many countries. Dang. But joined the club, built my first R2, got hooked, started doing appearances for Lucasfilm, got to know Mary Franklin, who was head of their fan relations and their events team. She was kind of 3 or 4 different positions. She's kind of a superhuman person. And anyway, Mary kind of pulled me in. I started building for them. First thing I started with Chopper, 2013 for Star Wars Rebels. And then it just snowballed because Disney had purchased Lucasfilm at that point. They wanted droids for the theme parks. And then we got pulled into shows thanks to Dave Filoni and some others. And we've just done a little of everything. Commercial work and TV shows and red carpet appearances and all sorts of crazy stuff.
That's so cool.
None of it was planned. It was all
it's the best, right?
Forrest Gumping into it, just fell into it, and here I am.
How long? Gordon, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
A decade ago, well, more than a decade ago, in Florida, and we hit it off, and then he came out here. We did a.
Yeah, our meeting in Florida was pretty brief. It was technically the first time we met. The first time we worked together was about a year later, right? Or less than a year later, 2013. Yeah. And then I came to California to do some shoot. And then McMaster was the other droid supplier. And we just immediately were like walking around looking for rattlesnakes and having
hugging
a fun
cactus.
time. Yeah, it was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. And here we are.
I was going to ask, Mike, when the R2 was the first droid you built, right?
Yes.
So how difficult and how long did that take you to do? Or did you just follow the group and what they were kind of saying, hey, you need to do this? And
the group had plans at that point, 2001. And so I followed the plans. I made a wood frame. I covered it in styrene. I should have actually brought it out. It's down at my son's house. But it was mostly hand fabricated. They had an aluminum dome at the time. It was a spun aluminum hemisphere, which isn't quite right because R2's dome is kind of bullet shaped. But very few purchased parts at that time. There was some resin foot shells that I bought, a few little greebly detail pieces I purchased that were made out of resin, but most of it was handmade.
Wow.
It took about 2.5 years.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably a little bit, but then after that, it just got faster, right?
Faster. I mean, I've built the fastest. I built 2 droids for Disney in 6 weeks.
Wow, that's crazy.
That said, I had all the parts on hand, so I started building up an inventory as I got deeper and deeper into this. So I was buying multiple sets of CNC wood frames and wood legs and laser cut aluminum skins and aluminum detail parts and spun domes. And so I had parts here. It was just a matter of, assembling it and painting it and adding the electronics.
Did you find out, one other question real quick, did you find yourself trying to get more and more accurate with already on screen before you made your own products that are on screen? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so my first R2 was, looking back, I was really happy with it at the time, but looking back, it's kind of atrocious. The legs were not the right scale, the dome wasn't right. There were a lot of little things that were just not accurate. So by the time I built my second R2, I was much more fussy and finicky about it and trying to get every little detail. And in the R2 builders, we argue all the time about, the buttons on the shoulder or the buttons forward, buttons back, and when you look at it, I have a preference, but I am not fanatical about it because you see R2 in every conceivable configuration throughout the movies. So some scenes the buttons are in front, some scenes are in the back, some scenes it has a dent here, a silver panel or whatever,
Yeah, so especially in the earlier films, it doesn't matter what it is. It's like, oh, I have the Obi-Wan hilt from which scene?
Yeah,
right. It's usually a thing from which scene. Yeah,
Yep.
not which movie, which scene. And I'm sure Gordon goes through the same thing with C-3PO.
Oh my God, it's had, I mean, endless changes. I can't tell you how many dumb arms and stuff I've gone through. The suit here is completely different from the suit I was wearing 6 years ago. Everything's except for the helmet. Helmet's kind of the same one I've been wearing for a while, but I have a new one in the garage. It's not gold yet, but yeah, always it's like I look at stuff and it bothers me. My first suit looked great to anybody that didn't know, but I just could see everything wrong. I was just like, gotta change this. So it's been morphing for years. So it's
a cool thing and it's not a cool thing because part of you just wants to go, hey, can I just live with it? No, I can't live with it.
I'm happy with kind of a amalgamation of the 3 original trilogy suits. There's stuff I like about all 3 of them, and I'm okay with my suit kind of having a little bit of a merge of those 3 aspects. I'm not going for one look, but I just want it to look right. So the stuff that's, even if I make it a little bit of a liberty so that it's easier to wear, I want it to look as accurate as possible. So sometimes I cheat stuff that's not quite accurate on screen, but it reads accurate in camera, and it's just easier to put on and off. So when some stranger has to come bolt me in, they're not like, what the hell is this? How am I gonna, McMaster's not scared. I have pictures of him ripping my arms off and stuff, but some people are real precious. We're like, oh, I don't want to pinch you. I'm like, just put the stupid thing on,
Muscle it on.
And the harder it is for someone to figure out, the more uptight they get that they're gonna hurt me. And I don't care if you can pinch my ears off and stuff, it's okay. But I don't want someone to feel like they're gonna, be sad or make me sad. Right. So anything I do to make it a little easier, I'm okay with, as long as it looks right,
Yeah. But you were saying something, Mike. I'm sorry I cut you off.
Oh no, I've already forgotten. So,
so Gordon, what you got you into Star Wars, man?
Seeing it as a kid, same thing. I'm about 10 years younger than McMaster here, so I saw it when I was about 2. I was alive for all the films, but I saw it very, very early, and my mom's like, oh, that corrupted your brain, because ever since then I was obsessed since I was very little. And then I think the first costume that I had that kind of got me thinking about making costumes was a Tusken Raider, but it was one of those vacuum formed Halloween mask kind of things. But my dad basically made the rest of the suit, got fabric that looked right, and he got one of those curtain rods with a little bin in it and made my gaffy stick, and it was way cooler looking. So even the head, even though it was a stick on face, it was all wrapped and everything. It was real cool. And so I was 6 years old.
I'm just picturing your household. Your mom's like, why are the curtains on the floor?
Yeah, it's honestly, that wouldn't even surprise me if that's what happened. I don't remember that, but that could be the case, actually. And it's doing those things you know what we need right now is a curtain rod. And, that could be the case. But then ever since then, I've always made stuff. Everybody in my family is real creative, so I grew up with people that made things. So I think as I got older, the stormtrooper back here, not the helmet, but the torso and stuff, I vacuum formed everything probably, I don't know, when I was what is this? Probably 1999 or something. I built a vacuum former and made a suit, and I was kind of like, okay, I think I can start making more sophisticated kind of costumes at that point. So yeah, it's just kind of spiraled out of control from there. Now I work at studios and make stuff for TV and whatnot. So
how did that happen?
Yeah, exactly. And it is literally doing, where's this way, 3PO back here, kind of the stuff I learned making a suit became very valuable in a weird way that I didn't consider. I just was a cheap ass. I didn't want to go pay someone to do it. So I'm like, I'll just figure it out. And now I could do those things. And it's been, making molds and painting all the gold and stuff. I did all the paint, tons of fiberglass work, all that stuff, 3D printing, all that came from doing 3PO. So real. So if you're making costumes, guys, those skills can be handy to other people. Sometimes you don't even know how. You just turns up, you can do stuff that is worthwhile.
Yeah.
And YouTube is your friend.
Yes.
YouTube is your friend, for sure.
So much out there.
And it also shows you things not to do, or that you're like, I'll just do this, and you watch a video and you're like, oh hell no, I'm hiring somebody.
So
that
Gordon,
guy blew up. Don't do that.
That 83 that was on that Jedi Temple challenge. Did you make that one or?
Yeah, I made the whole costume, and it's I built it around a scan of me, so it's I digitally sculpted most of it in ZBrush, and then so like the torso and the head were made in ZBrush, and the legs and shoulders and arms were done in Fusion 360. But I basically blocked them into ZBrush to get the shapes, and then I modeled them in Fusion because it's more like a engineering program. Because the arms have bearings and stuff, so when you turn them, there's actual like pieces that have bearings I had to figure out, and ZBrush isn't good for that. So yeah, but yeah, made the whole thing printed and fiberglass on the inside, most of it. So it's pretty fun.
Wow.
Star Wars Source.
Share some picture of that.
Oh, look at that. Hi.
It's all over Google.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
Hello. And there's me down in the middle right there. There's a picture of me digitally. You can see the thing over my right there. That was when I was doing a ZBrush. So I have my scan and I was sculpting around.
Oh wow,
that is awesome.
My actual head.
There you go, Joel. That's your next figure. It's the Gordon Tarpley.
I have my files online if you want to print me.
There you go.
Where is it?
That's cool, dude.
Here, look.
Full disclosure, this one is not the one that's online. This one
I was gonna say your head looks really small there.
Studio Gillis did a live cast to me recently, so this one's actually newer. I could probably get the files for this and post it, but the one that's on there, it looks basically the same.
Now, Gordon, can you confirm that that's the next Regal Robot maquette that's coming out? Is the
God, I wish. I'll have to talk to Tom about it. I talked to him today, and he didn't bring it up, so I doubt it.
Wait, did you scan Michael yet either?
No,
have a bust of Michael.
Got a scanner
The
here.
world's not ready. Although I do have a version of myself back here.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
That's cool.
Get it.
Let's see it.
This is what I was looking for.
Yeah, this was the young version of me.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Look at that.
There you go.
When I had more hair and it wasn't gray and it didn't have much dust.
And I have one with more hair and not bald.
Yeah, these.
So you guys have your own figures. My gosh.
They were on Robot Chicken. They were on an episode.
What?
That's so cool, dude.
That's so awesome.
Cool.
So if it's Jason Voorhees episode, and we're at the very end of it. Actually, there are doll versions of us, our puppets.
That is awesome.
And there's McMaster babysitting me, giving me some lemon drops, and put my helmet back together.
Oh wow!
Nice. So he was your handler for this one, huh?
Yeah. And he would feed me candy and put my helmet back on.
That's awesome. Teamwork.
So this is how you guys met, right? Was on a set of something? Or?
Yeah. We met on it's called what was Sam's thing called? Return of the Empire or something? Revenge. Was a Disney spoof because right after Disney bought Lucasfilm,
right.
Disney purchased Lucasfilm, and a mutual friend of ours that we kind of met through this process did this like spoof film, but it was like really good looking considered for like a YouTube video, and he got all these Star Wars people to donate their time basically. And he paid for my plane trip out and put me up, and I don't know if he got McMaster to volunteer because I pretty much volunteered my services. He just flew me out. So and pretty much everybody involved, same kind of thing, but it was just a spoof, kind of like what will Disney do with Star Wars? And it was like the scene McMaster and I had was R2 and 3PO hanging out, but then Wally comes rolling up like, hey, and yeah, it was pretty fun. But yeah, we met on a shoot on location.
On location, wow.
Yeah, in Red Rock Canyon State Park, which is beautiful.
Wow.
So, question in the chat. I'm assuming this is for the AD. Did you design it off concept art, or did you have a free reign?
A little bit of both. Now, what's kind of crazy, and I don't think I've ever talked about this, but initially, he's gonna have a diarrhea attack. Guys, be careful.
Turn the mic off.
Initially, when they approached me about it, they were wanting me to use Huang from what's now in Ahsoka. And so they sent me models of that, and I modified that to fit a person. And it went through all these stages of like, okay, this is because, he's really, really skinny. So I'm pretty thin, but I'm not that thin. So I had to, do some stuff to make it fit. And then it was like back and forth with getting approvals, and they decided like, no, we don't want to use that droid, but we want to make something that's could feel kind of related. And they gave me some references, and I basically did a bunch of concepts and sent them over until elements would get approved. And for the most part, it's my design. I would say it's like 85% my design with some notes that I, took in to change, minor shapes or this and that. Like it's got the kind of like the Fu Manchu thing like Huang has. And it's, that wasn't on my design, but they wanted it put back in to match that droid and a couple little small details, but mostly my design, but guided, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's awesome.
And it was very fun. It's a fun gig. I'm real happy with it because it's neat to have something that I put my work into, and then got to be up there in it, which is fun.
In Star Wars, yeah, your creation. That's so cool.
He's back.
I needed a cough drop. All of a sudden, I'm like gagging. I thought, oh, the time, this chat, this is going to be great. Somebody call 911.
Yeah, Gordon said you had a diarrhea attack, so we just
well, that too. Yeah, it just comes out of nowhere.
I haven't seen you guys. Don't worry.
He's very happy about it. At least diarrhea attack makes him very happy.
That's good.
That's okay. I just wear the diaper now. So.
Actually, we all do.
The shop when I'm sanding.
Yeah, it's like, okay, good. Oh, that's too funny.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So let's talk about
when
the
you're sliding
part.
down the pole and you really gotta go.
Oh, I remember that one.
That's a classic.
Yeah. This is amazing.
Hi, Alex. Well, that's the LXR5.
The companion droid, right?
Yeah.
I always want to know what's in the collar. Is it a metal pattern? Is it a what? Because R5 has the same thing.
So it is a tape it's an aluminum tape with spun metal pattern on it.
Got it.
That you can purchase. I have a roll of it that is almost depleted now because every time an R5 guy pops up and says, "Hey, I need some of that," I'll cut a section off and send it out.
Wow,
he's like a spun aluminum tape scalper.
Yeah.
There you go.
Big markups.
How much you need? How much you got?
Buy them all up.
Barter for adult diapers.
Yeah, exactly.
I just picture at the fabric store, where they stretch it out and they're like, a yard, okay.
Yeah, it's just an estimate, something like that. Yeah,
that's funny. So for like these designs, Michael, do you get artist freedom to paint it, or did they tell you this is how it looks?
Yeah, they already had the design. They had a little bit of artwork sketched up. They had the colors laid out, and so they just sent me the drawings. And fortunately, it was an astromech with an R5 dome, so I had access to that.
Nice.
If it had been something exotic that we had to build from scratch, it might have been a little bit more challenging. But that droid is my shortest build because there were a lot of changes made. They're kind of going back and forth. And so I was waiting to start. And then all of a sudden, we thought we had more time till the show started taping. And then we found out kind of last minute that we had 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And so I built that in 17 days.
Wow.
Basically didn't sleep for 17 days.
Oh,
Jesus.
I know that pain.
Yep.
I haven't put my laundry away in the last 17 days. So
that's a chore. None of us do that.
Wow.
So cool. Speaking real quick, you're saying you're doing that in 17 days. Obviously, you've gotten much faster from 2.5 years to 17 days, but it has to do with parts. What is your background with building? You growing up, where did everything start for you?
So I live on a 90-acre citrus farm, and I originally built farm equipment for my dad. My dad was an outstanding woodworker. He built his own house, and he built a lot of his farm equipment out of necessity. We didn't have a lot of money, and he said, "Oh, I need a spray rig or a tree topper or whatever," so we would build it. And in high school, he said, "Learn how to weld." We used to have vocational classes, in high school, mm-hmm. So we had electronics, and I was in our school's very first computer class on Apple IIe's. That dates me a little. And but yeah, I took welding, machining, electronics, and so those skills came in handy on the farm, building a farm equipment.
Well, it's like I always took metal shop, but wound up being a cabinet maker. So it's just the way it happened, you know? So I was just curious because it's like building stuff, it comes natural to some, but usually there's some sort of a background of knowing how to use tools and doing this, then turning into whatever you wind up doing, you know? What about you, Gordon? Or, I'm sorry, go ahead, Michael.
Well, no, I was going to say, and also the remote control end of it, I used to build 2-meter electric gliders. So I already had the remote controls. That's familiar with speed controllers, remote controls, you know, servos, all that stuff. So that, you know, spilled into R2, which is basically a remote controlled powered wheelchair.
Wow.
Flies.
And with Gordon, he talked about his dad doing stuff, and then he grew up around people that always built stuff. What was your first project you remember going through going, man, I did that. That's awesome.
Oh,
instead of, man, I did that. Don't look at it.
Well, all of them end up being that. Even if I was proud of it at the time, there's 2 years later, I'm like, ugh, awful. But, oh my gosh, let's see. So I can barely even remember. My grandfather also on my mom's side, super handy, could fix anything. And my grandfather on my mom's side and my dad were both hands-on with everything. Anything that broke, they would always fix it. So I was involved in some way since I was a kid. So my earliest memories, I was helping my grandfather build stuff in the house and dig footers and carve out, notches for hinges and doors and, build all kinds of weird stuff. There's pictures of my brother in diapers using saws in my grandfather's garage. We were very, very young. Building
got a warm drive.
Yeah, and I did auto repair stuff with my dad. As far as like on top of fixing engines, we did like body work. So it was working with Bondo and fiberglass and those kind of things I'd done for a long time. And then I was a surfer. I still surf, but not as often as I'd like. But since I was probably 12, and anytime a surfboard broke, I'd have to fix it myself. So it was like getting used to working with resins and fiberglass and those kind of materials. Really early. I couldn't tell you my first project. I mean, it's been my whole life has always just been kind of like
doing something.
Want this, go make it, And same with my grandfather. They wanted shutters for the house. It was like, well, I'll just build them and go in the wood and make a jig and cut all your slats exactly the same and build. Wow. That's just how it was. So and would never get kits. You'd like build sheds and stuff and just buy all the materials and just build the whole thing. And I was always there to help, so it was good. It was
That's really cool.
Putting down rebar and putting in concrete and running electrical stuff.
Yeah, you used to go to the store. Yeah, now you go to Amazon or whatever and get what you want, but back then you just did it.
Yeah. So I was always around it, and it's just been it's kind of odd to think about. Usually, when I'm just going to make a thing, I don't even consider like. Sometimes there's times people have done it already, and it's probably better just to go approach that person and say, "Oh, I should just buy this. It's already done." And sometimes halfway through it, I'm like, "Man, somebody already did this. You should just get stupid."
It's hard sometimes. Like even when I had my cabinet shop, there are certain things that it's like it's going to cost you less if you just buy it.
Yeah,
than to hire me to design it and build it. So
yep, 100%. And it's tricky, but I love it. I'm glad that the skills are there, and everybody was just super encouraging my whole life and just like, you want to do that? Okay, go for it. And there was never like, oh, you can't do that. And that was never around my whole life. My parents were awesome. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was very good.
Evan, you want to read questions?
Sure, let's do it. So question, Michael, what is the best way to start building an R2 unit? That's from Shane, Wandering Tatooine.
So I would say the best way is just to find the build groups. There is an R2 builders group on Facebook. The primary group has astromech.net, and explore the pages a little bit, and ask a lot of questions. The groups are really great at answering newbie questions. I mean, we do get a lot of the same questions obviously over and over, so we do as much homework as you can first, but there are parts runs, if you want to purchase wood frames or styrene frames or metal frames. You can scratch build. There's a whole group dedicated to building things out of styrene, and they just get the plans. They download the plans and make everything by hand. Depends on your budget and what you're comfortable with. You don't really need a lot of tools, simple hand tools, drills, screwdrivers, things like that. You can build an R2-D2 and a little bit of patience.
Wow.
But,
and you started on the Yahoo clubs, right?
Yeah, the Yahoo group, which of course Yahoo groups are long gone. Yeah. But
I guess my point is that you're not only a member, you're also a client, right?
Yeah. not for Hair Club, I'm not. Right. Thanks for asking. Neither is Gordon.
No, none.
Same barber.
It's funny.
But no, there are groups. If you go on Facebook, there's a group for BB-8s, mouse droids, C-3PO, any robot you can think of out there. There's a group. I mean, I'm part of the Vincent group and the old Bob
IG-11,
group, Maximilian, and all that.
Even the gonks, right? The gonks.
Yeah.
I want a mouse droid.
Mouse droids are a good gateway droid, by the way.
Gateway droid.
That's the
you make it sound like you're holding a mouse droid like this. Yeah.
Hey, buddy. No,
that'll make a good shirt. Gateway droid.
But yeah, you can buy a shell for it. You can 3D print all the little greeblies and just put it on top of a remote controlled car.
Right.
Some of them are very sophisticated and can cost as much as $1,000.
Jeez.
Some of them are simple and they've been built for $50.
There we go.
So I know some that are cardboard. William Miyamoto, he's made one. It's entirely folded up cardboard, like flat pack style. And he 3D printed his little greeblies and set it on a $20 RC
on
car.
Fire. No, not on fire.
Just convert the Disney popcorn bucket.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. No, it's what be creative.
Oh,
William actually converted one of those little crappy Target toy baby Yoda Grogu's to it's got little wheels on it. It walks around and it's all RC now. And he just there's like $20 at Target or something.
Yeah, he made oblong wheels that are out of sync.
Yeah.
So, but they're hidden by his little skirt or whatever you want to call it, his robe. And and he does this neat little walk and is so clever, and it cost him very little money.
Yeah,
and,
he's a creative guy. I like William. You should get him on here too. William's fun.
Nice.
Very cool. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Next question. Obviously, you do these droids and suits professionally, but do you ever do personal commissions, or are they just so expensive it's not worth it, the trouble to deal with the personal commission?
Excuse me. I definitely do commissions. It's not cheap, and I will typically try to point people in. Some people don't care. There's people. I throw a price and they're like, okay. And then some people you throw a price and they're like, oh my God, like I'll just jump out my window, or and you never know, because like people, I've been approached by people and the way they talk, it's like they're like him and haw, and I'm like, this is just the price. I got to like pay my bills and stuff. So if it's going to put this much time in, I have to charge a certain amount. And sometimes people are like, okay. And they'll just answer like that. And I'm like, man, I didn't charge enough because they just answered too fast. They didn't even try to negotiate.
Like
and
then, one.
And there's some people, I assume that they have an idea what it's going to cost because of the way they talk about it. And then you tell them a price like, oh, and then you don't hear from them for 4 days. And they're right back, oh, it's just a little out of my budget. I'm like, it's fine by me either way. Like, whichever,
I hear that a lot.
But if I'm going to do it, it just have to be worth,
absolutely
other work and so forth. So, and there's a lot of resources now. So if someone wants a 3PO, I can make one. It's going to be a lot of money. Or I could say, go to the 3PO builder group, buy yourself a used CR10S5 for like $400 or whatever, and get the files from Jesse and print it. They're not 100% accurate, but they're really close enough nobody would notice. They look really good. And, you get the chroming stuff for, everything you need for probably $500 if you're real, frugal and look around for sales on the paints and the sprayers. And for like
$2,000 or $2,500. You got everything you need to make a droid, and then you can make all the updates you want, and then you're not precious with it. If you're wearing the costume, all the the arms get all beat up, the shorts get beat up, and when people pay to have all that stuff done, they're really, really precious with it. And
and then they find out why your price is the way it is.
Yeah. But they'll be stiff and don't move a lot. But when you just know, I can fix this, then you can actually animate and act, appropriately when in the costume, move around and, be more interactive. But if you're paying somebody to do it, if it's a lot of, some people will pay everything they've got to get a thing. I know this because I've done it when I get guitars. I didn't have any money to buy a guitar. I'm like, I'm going to buy that guitar anyway. And then, I'll eat one ramen back a day for the next 17 weeks that I can get that guitar. I've done that and I don't care. It's worth it to me. But, that guitar, some of those I got when I was 16 years old, I still have them,
Nice.
So it's one of those, I know what went into it. Hopefully, I think if they build their own thing, they'll be way more satisfied than if I do it for them, in the long run. They may hate me at first, but
it's one of those weird things where it's maybe not.
Yeah.
Because I have a problem with when I'm doing something, I'm constantly second guessing it. You know what I mean? It's is that right? Is that right? Well, that's what they said, but is that right? Versus somebody going, here you go. And you're like, oh, okay, well, the great Gordon Tarpley made this, so it's perfect.
Who also does that all the time, by the way. I do that for everything, but I've learned to just dive into it and just do it anyway. And then
this guy down here is like you guys to where we were watching Ahsoka and they showed the zombie death troopers.
Uh-huh.
He took a hot toy and had a zombie death trooper before the end of the show.
He just puts it out of stall,
it just boom. He just gets things done. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go for it sometimes. And what's the worst that can happen? You mess up.
Yeah, you can fix
it. In the scheme of things, is that bad? I mean, every one of these droids back here, this one is version 2.5. I got version 3 in the works, and I just messed it up and made it anyway. And then it's I'm just gonna do it again, make it better, And the McMaster does that all the time with the Astromex. You improve every single one you make, I think.
Yeah, they just get more and more rugged and heavier and more features.
What's badass though is that you give them an avenue to do a cheaper version. You give them your price, and then you say, "Hey, there's this other option."
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Oh yeah, I'll help you out. I'll kind of guide you a little bit.
I'll give them advice, whatever. It doesn't hurt me at all if they don't want to use what I do. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
But if they want help, I'll give advice. I'll say, here's where to go. Here's 10 other people that know the ropes on different aspects that can help out.
That's awesome.
So those IG-11 heads at Oga's Cantina, was that something you built?
Yeah. There's our. Did I have any in here? I think I took them all downstairs. I had some up here. I made the mold for the Scum and Villainy Cantina in Hollywood, and I had the part. I bought it in 2014. I looked forever for one. I finally got one. And when the Scum and Villainy Cantina was opening up, JC was like, "Oh, you got those? You mentioned you were going to copy them." So that was kind of my, initial push to make the mold. And then when I had the mold, I was selling them, and the stuff for Ogus came up. And a friend of mine also makes a version of that in Florida, and one of my friends from Imagineering, I guess, had purchased one of his and bought one for me. And when he bought it for me, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to show Imagineering the two kind of available." And it was a year before it came back, and I ended up working on it. So I thought for sure my friend got the gig or whatever, and then all of a sudden they're like, "All right," and it came through Tom Spina's shop, and I don't know how. This is John Farmer at Imagineering, who passed away a couple of years ago, but he contacted me. He's like, "Oh, I heard you got the thing. Here's details," because I did the ones that look like IG-88's head and the other silver ones, which were the other ones were custom for Oga's Cantina because they were based on an existing part, which I have also, but they changed the flange at the top, made it a little smaller. So John sent me the files for the volume that they wanted, and I modeled the whole thing and added the flanges and all the little stuff on them, What sucks is there's cool detail that's actually on the back of them. So when you see them in the cantina, there's like these neat details that are on the
Can't
back
see it.
side. You just can't see it, between this stuff. But
So-
that was a crazy gig.
This guy over here worked on Galaxy's Edge in Florida and did a lot of stuff in there.
Sweet.
I was gonna say I did the creature cases in the cantina.
Yeah.
And the slugs. I did a slug for a Gabe Star Wars replica.
Yeah, I saw it. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I remember we had your IG heads. We had gotten them in our shop so we could fit them because we did all the framing behind the bar too.
Oh,
and it was just a table of like 30 of these IG heads, and I'm like, oh man, these are so damn cool.
That was a task, man. Each one of those things has 111 little holes that had to be cut. And so I cast them and I cut them and paint them. What do you work for a shop there in town, or were you hired like?
I was at Artistic Entertainment when we were doing that.
Okay.
And I'm out in Tampa now, but I was doing all that Tampa.
I lived in Tampa before I moved here, so.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, and my wife's family's in Tampa. I was just there in December, and I almost we're talking last night about going back next month, but I don't think I could do it. My brother works for a place in Orlando called Mad Fab. I don't know if you've heard of them. They do.
That's the first place I worked in the industry, actually.
No kidding.
With Mad Fab, yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, my brother works there now, and so he's
awesome.
working on. He did like Guardians of the Galaxy at Epcot and a bunch of other random stuff. So
yeah, they get a lot of good contracts. They make good connections, and they did some stuff they did a few of the speeders at Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah,
outside and stuff, and little horse saws and stuff like that. So
I have not been to the Galaxy's Edge in Florida yet, and I'm dying to see it because I'm curious to see that. I heard the paint's a little more rich there than it is in California, because I guess second go at it they like bump some stuff up, and there are some things that people tell me that I'm dying to see.
Oh, awesome.
There's a couple of differences between both parks, so they both have their uniqueness to it. So
you should just come out for May 4th, Gordon.
Yeah, May the 4th. We're all going to be there.
Michael, you just come
I
out.
would like to, and actually something Tom was talking to me today about was that somebody was doing something in Florida on May the 4th, and I don't know if I'm going to go to it or not. He asked me if I was available. I said I don't know, maybe.
That's funny.
But I don't know. I have no idea where it is. It's just in Florida somewhere. So,
got it. Question for both of you: who are your top 3 droids? Obviously, C-3PO,
nice.
probably R2. Yeah.
I'll let McMaster go on this.
Oh, Gordon's tired now. He's worn out. Now he's going to go have a case of something. Droids. Well, droids specifically, I would say R2-D2, of course. LXR5, I guess, because he's one of a kind. He's unique. And then obviously the probe droid, because I was in love with the probe droid for 40 years before I finally got around to building one. And they are just so sinister and intimidating, and who doesn't love a bad droid?
Yeah. Well, it has the name Probe in it, which isn't good.
So, 12-year-old.
Oh, jeez.
So was the one in the Kenobi series yours? So was the one in the Kenobi series your probe droid?
Okay, so it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be. We were going to have it. There was the scene where they're in the droid workshop, where it had the back door and they went and escaped and all that. And when we got on set, I kept telling them this thing is 4 feet across, and they apparently didn't understand how large 4 feet is. Because I got there and they said that takes up our entire set. We can't have it here. So I was really sad, but they said, well, we are going to shoot a scene out in the desert where it attacks, Kenobi. And so we had talked about going out there, but it was going to have to be in a truck, sitting out in the desert, a storage container for 3 or 4 days. And at the time, it was about 115 degrees. It's all 3D printed.
Melt.
PLA. So it would have just turned into Jello. So I said, no, I can't do it. So I was really disappointed. They said, okay. So then that wound up being CG that they added for that scene.
For real.
Flies in. But then because of that, we were doing a lot of work season 3 of Mandalorian, and they said, oh, we understand that the thing didn't work out with Probe Droid. And I said, yeah. And they said, can we use it? And I'm like, absolutely. So they had this scene where the probe droid's delivering a message,
Mhm.
and we got to do that. So we still got to use it. Just
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Redemption.
That's so cool. Wow.
That's awesome.
Back
about
from Diana again. It was. Go ahead, Evan. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no, Gordon's favorite droids.
Yeah, what's your top?
Yeah, so my very favorite ever is the RA7 droid. I always loved it since I was a little kid. I love 3PO. I always liked the costume, was fascinated by it, but I also really loved IG-88 and also the probe droid too. It was one of my absolute favorites when I was a kid. And it's not to make it 4, say top 3. I would say 3PO makes it into the 4th place position. Actually, I love the costume, but the other ones were just so interesting and it seemed like intimidating and cool. And they fall into the Maximilian territory, which is was asked to me one time, like, what prop would you have? And I'm like, Maximilian, 100% over any, the Star Wars props. I take Maximilian.
But for you to do an IG-88, you'd probably have to lose some more weight.
A little bit. Let me see. Am I skinny enough? Not quite there. Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm going to get down to 110 if I can. We'll see what happens.
Do they make a Gamorrean droid?
No, gosh, I wish. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
It'd be like Mecha Gamorrean.
Yes.
Gordon, I'm surprised you haven't come out with a book yet and said like, hey this
Michael.
is the 3PO diet.
3PO is my trainer. That's what I tell people. It's like, stay the same size.
I saw
Get a
Michael
3-
Haas just pop up. Michael Haas, that was my one and only commission was for him, for his pizza place in Texas. And Maximilian currently hangs about 15 feet off the ground,
which is a phenomenal piece.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites too.
Yeah, it is so freaking cool. And McMaster did an awesome job matching the paint and everything. It just looks really cool.
I remember the initial shots of it outside of the garage where it was like it looked like it was hovering and floating.
Yeah, so I had made this stand and I had thrown plywood down on top of it because we were going to do some painting, little test paint. And I said, wow, with the plywood there, you can't see the frame. And so I started moving my camera around until you couldn't see the bar that was in the back that went,
That's
through your
awesome.
shoulder. And so then I'm just shooting video like, oh, Max is flying. And I put the video up and everybody's like losing their minds. And I thought everybody would immediately say, oh, that's, obviously there's something back there. People are like, oh, it's Photoshopped, or oh, it was, After Effects. And oh, no, maybe it really does float. And so I just kind of let the speculation go for, I don't know, way too long until I finally showed the back of it and everybody was just disappointed.
They all gave up. They deleted you as a friend.
Yeah.
Block this guy. It's trickster.
Yeah, it was the old, I was thinking in my head, it was the old magician's trick with the floating woman where they have the rod and it's concealed through curtains, And I thought, oh, we'll just do that as a lark. And then I just never really followed up for a while and people were really upset. They wanted to know how it
You should have done the ring. You should have done the ring passing over.
Oh, yeah.
And we could have. We totally could have done that.
Attached.
Well, I did pass something underneath it. I did a second video where I was like putting my hands underneath it. I thought, no, people aren't ready.
The closest I came to that was one time I posted a picture of something I had chromed. And it was, this is a whole chemical process, but it looks like the cap on the chrome Rust-Oleum, which never looks as shiny as the caps of the spray paint. And I took a picture of the Rust-Oleum spray paint, which is like chrome thing, and I just posted it. And I put in the comments that it was fake. But suddenly I'm getting all these people writing me. I'm like, I just bought that paint. And I'm like, oh no. And they're like, it's just not coming out like your stuff. Like, what'd you do? It's like, oh God, it says in the description, it's just a joke, just trolling. And
people do not read.
I felt bad about that. I was like, oh no, it's not what I expected.
Paint sold out.
Joel does not read. He likes picture books. He does not read.
Yeah, they are the best ones.
Let me bring this picture up real quick.
The
little family picture here.
Oh my
look
God.
at that.
So cool.
That is the stuff that dreams are made of. Not the podcast, but that's what that is, right?
You're missing Johnny Five, man.
Johnny Five's taking the picture.
Yeah, exactly.
That is
Wow.
awesome.
Yeah, those
awesome,
are a lot of my favorite robots from the years, and I couldn't believe I had them all in the shop. I had the Lucasfilm chopper was here just briefly. We were giving it some upgrades, and I thought, well, I can't not take a group photo with that.
Right.
And I should say Chopper is my runner-up too. Like Gordon, he's a close number 3. Because who doesn't love a murder droid?
Right. I love how Chopper looks animated somehow still. Like we know it's a physical, but it still looks like an animated Chopper. It has the color thing. It's awesome.
One of the coolest things is when I first got out to California, McMaster, who invited me to all kinds of cool stuff. And one of the things that I got to do was like the first month I was here was this Rebels premiere. But Rebels is brand new. And I got to go kind of help wrangle Chopper, just make sure, people weren't touching him and open elevator doors and stuff. And nobody responded. It was kind of like, eh. And then like a year later, everybody's like, Chopper, the response difference is so nuts after the show aired and people realized what it was, Yeah,
we did press for months and people are like, what is that, R2-D2? Like,
no. Oh my God.
Wow. But then, like Gordon said, a year later, we're doing Star Wars weekends. And
people lose their minds.
Wow, that was a difference. We do the parades and people were going crazy. We did a stage show and people were just absolutely, it was like he was one of the Beatles.
Right?
Yeah. He is a rock star.
It was cool to see that. This what is this? To just everywhere now, Chopper, kids and stuff. It's great.
Well, and the funny thing was, so he did get 1 second, literally maybe a half a second in Rogue One.
Yeah.
And so we flew him to Pinewood, and I didn't get to go with him because I was on another project. So someone from Lucasfilm got to drive him, unfortunately, which made me really sad. But we were at the premiere, and I'm sitting like in the front row. They put us in terrible seats because we're the hired help. But here comes the scene. I know it's coming, and then Chopper, I see him for a fraction of a second. I go, woo! As loud as I can. And then I realized no one else had seen him. And everyone else in the theater. And there were like celebrities there, people that were in the movie. And they're looking at me like, what? Oh, nothing. And it was literally weeks before somebody actually noticed
that's my kid.
He was in the movie.
I saw it on my first viewing. I saw it right away. And it was like my eye was at the right spot. And you could hear the little noise. And he's going across, I was looking right at him. I was so excited. Oh my gosh. So then when the movie played, I saw it again like 2 days later. And so I had my camera and I got a picture of it in the theater because I knew when the scene was coming up. I was like, he's got to be right here.
We were the only 2 people that knew. I think.
That was awesome. I knew, like, I remember hearing it was going to be in there, but I wasn't specifically looking for it at that point. It just, I happened to be, my eyes were in the right spot when the shot changed.
Everybody saw the ghost. They're like, the ghost is in it like a half a dozen times. And immediately, the ghost is in. Oh, I heard Harrison Dula's name was mentioned. And I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting, like nothing.
I remember seeing Chopper. I was like, was that Chopper? And people are like looking at me like I'm an idiot.
Chopper what?
Like a lot of people didn't watch the cartoon, so they're like, what is this?
Right.
Yeah. So I pulled something else up. So I was looking for the Star Wars Celebration video of your probe droid. I think this is it. This thing is amazing.
Yes, I saw that.
Oh yeah. You got it set up like that. It's so.
I probably walked by you like 10 times and didn't realize I was you.
Me too. There was Gil. So Gil was the RX that David Ferreira and his group made, which Lucasfilm had up on stage. And David helped us create the RX droids that were in Book of Boba Fett.
Oh.
So Gil is basically an extension of that. He's a little different, but kind of the next evolution in the RX droids.
And it's great because David's got his microphone attached as a speaker in the droid, and it talks to people that are, whoever's there. And when he's speaking, he could be standing practically next to you, just talking normal volume, but the sound is coming out of the droid, and nobody catches on that he's there talking. It's amazing. And
so something about the probe droid that was unique. Normally, when you take a droid out to Celebration, it's crowded, and you have handlers out in front saying, excuse us, pardon us. And with the probe droid, we immediately discovered the crowds just parted like the Red Sea.
Yeah, there's a presence.
Thing I've ever seen. And by the end of the con, by the third day, we were purposely, intentionally looking for the most crowded areas of celebration, and we were driving straight through, and people would see it and jump, and it would just part all the way down. It was crazy. It was the most fun I've ever had driving a droid, ever.
The probe droid is Moses.
Right. Parting the seas.
Parting the seas, yep.
And that is 100 pounds of 3D printed PLA.
Wow.
I can't believe that thing's printed.
Rolls.
Yeah.
What do you print on? What kind of printer?
I've got a bunch of different printers. For the probe droid, I had 3 CR10 S5s that I used because they could print large pieces. And I used, at the time, it was a Pulse that I was using to make some of the detail pieces in nylon.
Okay.
Since then, a lot of things have changed. I've got different printers for different, needs. I've got about 7-8 printers now.
Do you have a go-to for that style of printer? Like, what's your favorite printer out of all those?
I can't, it's funny, like my kids, I can't pick a favorite. I have a Taz Pro, which does all my ASA printing, which is very similar to ABS.
Yeah.
And it just excels at that. And so my nice structural lightweight parts are coming out of that. The really big prints, I guess the CR10 S5s are still my favorite because they have the ability to print huge parts, just enormous parts. And so it's been really convenient. I now have a Bamboo Carbon X1, which they are ridiculously fast. I can print any material. I'm printing nylon parts on it primarily.
Wow.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about Bamboo.
I use for my resin prints. I've got in June, I should get my Orange Storm Giga, which may replace the CR10s. It's 800 by 800 by 1000 is the build.
Wow.
Height.
That's
so
really
you
big.
can build an entire 2-legged R2D2 in one shot on that
Whoa.
print.
That is
That's
awesome.
Wow.
I run with the Cobra Max, so I was just curious.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm not one of these guys, you have to use this printer, you have to use that printer. They're tools, they're hammers, it's like a screwdriver. Use the best tool for the job.
It's whatever you're comfortable with.
Least good one and put in nails with it.
A lot of people say, CR10s are junk. They're not junk. And there's nothing wrong with the original hardware, by the way. A lot of people modify them heavily. All of mine, I have 5 now. They're all bone stock. It's the slicing that made all the difference in the printing quality.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, and the leveling, you got to level them by hand, and it's a pain in the butt. And I'm
if you're a rookie at it, I don't recommend it.
yeah, but not for the weak of heart. But
I'm a weak heart.
They're good machines. Honestly, there's Gordon.
Oh wow!
Dumb hat.
Dude, that is awesome.
That would be a cool costume.
Gordon.
Yeah.
Just give you an idea of the scale. That's me in there, and then my head's stuck up inside. So
because originally the plan was that if I couldn't get the body finished, we just
I would wear
Gordon, and nobody would notice.
He's walking.
Gordon, you should start signing those and selling them.
I could do that. So really random. We were talking about Chopper, and as we're talking about this, my friend, my old roommate from years ago, like 20 years ago, he's a tattoo artist, and he sent me some flash artwork he's making for Star Wars Day for the tattoo shop. I don't know if you can see this.
Oh,
Chopper and my leg lamp.
The leg lamp.
I love that.
So his name's Tim Strading. I'm gonna I'll post this on my page here.
I love that.
But he literally just said it. It's like, hope you don't mind. I'm like, oh my god, no, that's amazing. I hope somebody gets that tattooed on them. It'll make me feel real good.
I would get that, dude. I'm from Cleveland, so we love Christmas Story.
Oh yeah.
I saw that leg lamp and I was like, that is such a genius idea.
The house is there, right? And so Sam, the guy that brought me out, and the first time I really hung out with McMaster, he was the first person to stay in the house after they started renting it out for Christmas. He was the first one to stay in there for Christmas Eve into Christmas with Sam Macaroni, which is pretty wild. Oh, that's me.
And that leg lamp reappears every season.
Does it?
It literally goes viral every season.
I love that.
And I didn't know it was going to be a thing. I did it just goofing around, and my first one. So a little known because there's no evidence of it, but I will be eventually building an R2, and I have probably like 60% of the stuff to make one, and it's just so slow. I've been a member of the R2 builders since 2010 or 2011, something like that, and I love them. I just got to get around to doing it. So I had a dome, and I had my leg from my costume, and I was doing something with the leg on the couch. I was like crouched down, putting the knee together, and my wife's like, "Oh, that reminds me of Christmas Story, like Ralph looking at the leg." And I was like, "Oh my god!" And so I was like, "I got to do this." So I got my dome, and at the time it wasn't even painted. So my very first picture of it, I photoshopped the colors on the dome because I didn't have the dome painted, and I put a bunch of Christmas or bicycle lights on the inside of the dome to light it up because it wasn't wired for anything. And I took a picture in front of the Christmas tree. Thought it'd be funny for my friends, and then everybody's like, "Oh my god, it's amazing!" And one of my friends was like, "Hey, can I share this on Imgur, one of those?" And it's like, "Sure." And then the next like 8 hours later, I had like 96,000 views, and I was like,
"Wow!"
And people started writing me about it and stuff because he credited me on the picture. So I just started to get all these messages about it. And I was like, "Oh my god, I didn't know.
This is a thing."
I thought it was just funny. So I ended up making like its own. I molded my pieces and made an actual lamp because the very first one I posted was just my costume parts, And so I was like, "Oh, I guess I have to make one now for real."
That's freaking awesome.
You need to make a little one that you could put on a nightstand or something,
I actually have made files for that same thing, and then we're talking about R2 ran my. So this is totally unrelated, but I was telling McMaster like 2 days ago that I have a controller for my R2, and I just realized it was sitting next to me. Sorry about that. That was unrelated. That was
Squirrel.
Total
My name is that Squirrel.
Well,
he does this too. He's like, "Oh, you need a Luke head? I got one. You need that? It's right there." So yeah, we understand.
That's awesome.
Gordon talks about one of those, droids that's never been finished, and you've been working on it how long?
On and off since 2012, I think.
So wow. I've got one that'll beat you. I've got a droid that I've been working on for 18 years.
Wow.
Wow. And it's right behind me here.
It's a C-3PO.
My R4 P17.
Wow.
That one back there?
Ooh, there he is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
So that dome is an R&J dome, which means nothing to anybody outside of the builders group, but it was the dome that was being built at the time, in the early 2000s. And it's the same dome that Lucasfilm, that ILM used. Don Bees said, "Hey, can I buy one of these?" And it's the one that's ripped off the Jedi Starfighter by the Buzz Droids. And that was R4 P17. So I said, "Okay, I've got to have that dome." Nice. I bought it, started working on it, and then I've got all this other work. So I work on it maybe once a year.
Do you think he's sad?
Finished, but it's like an 18-year build.
Yeah, he's over there like, "Come on, I saw you build that other one 18 hours.
You built a lifetime film program. I'm still sitting here. That's so funny.
Sad.
Shane had said you could have an amazing Christmas if you started selling those leg lamps in January.
Right? Yes, that's not a bad idea. I actually wanted to redo them so they're easier to make because I've sold a few of them, and it's surprisingly a giant pain in the butt to make those things. So I'm like, I got ways that I could simplify the process and save myself 80% of the work. It'll look exactly the same, but the way I have to make it is based on my own molds from like the costume pieces, and it's like a whole thing.
You'd have to do like a fiberglass casing for it, probably.
Yeah, I would probably make a mold of the whole leg and the foot in one piece, and then I'd probably just rotocast them and then trim them, and then go from there. It'd be way faster than fiberglass in each piece and trimming them and putting them together. But yeah, I've considered it. It is one of those the investment's worth it. If I made the molds, people would buy them for sure. But it's making the molds is probably $1,000 in materials to do it right, make it worthwhile, and then I'd have to do that up front, make the time, which I barely have time for anything right now. Yeah. And everything takes me. We moved to this house like a year and a half ago, and I have projects that I had before my old house for clients that I have not caught up on yet. So it's been very, very busy.
Thank you, Lewis.
Oh, thank you, Lewis.
I know that.
Just subscribe. Now I'm a Spice Runner. Now I'm a Spice Runner now. That's
but also look at his picture. It's a C-3PO and an R2-D2. Which
I know those guys.
It's badass.
We get a nickel for every one.
Yeah.
Royalties.
So, Michael Gordon, I got a question for you. So, you guys are very accomplished, obviously, right? You do a lot of things for everybody. Question for you is there one thing that you wish you want to do, you just haven't had the time to do it? Michael, you kind of said the robot there, in the back, but what other things have you not done that you really want to get done?
Well, I would love to work on a movie.
Okay.
That's overall, that would be great.
I would love to fly a wingsuit.
Ooh, nice.
Ooh, a wingsuit, nice.
God, I don't know. A lot of
I've
stuff.
always wanted to shoot down a guy in a wingsuit.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I would do it in costume. That would be awesome.
Paint gun.
I feel like my life feels like I'm in a Matrix most of the time, and then stuff happens. I'm like, is this even real? So I'm just happy with everything that comes along. Like, there's more stuff happening that I couldn't have even imagined that I would do, and not because I literally didn't try it. Like someone like McMaster or Tom Spina or some other friend will just be like, hey, you want to do this thing? And I just end up there. And it wasn't like I was setting out to go do it. I just was right place, right time. Maybe had some weird skill that happened to fit that thing, and just lucked into it. And it's awesome, but also feels very strange. And you hear people talk about imposter syndrome all the time. I'm just like, I don't know how I got it to do any of this stuff.
Well, but it's kind of one part skill, it's one part who and it's one part actually being able to achieve it. Like you have the right personality, and Gordon has all of that because he has all the skills. And if he doesn't know a thing, he'll figure it out. And he's very personable, as you can tell. And he just gets the job done. Like he's constantly doing things with ridiculous time frames. I'm like, oh my gosh, And I guess we both wind up doing those occasionally, but he does a lot more than I do. And
I don't know about that. You do quite a few of them yourself, and it's always like you're doing droids in 2 weeks. So that's
But you always get called back. You get called back because you're personable and you get the job done.
Weren't you a zombie in something recently?
Oh my god!
That's me.
That's actually the way Gordon normally looks.
Yeah.
Wow. Oddly enough.
McMaster loves when I wear those contacts. I always try to send him pictures when I'm on set.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah, I have a thing about eyes. I can't put anything near my eyes, and that just
There's my buddy Ozzy Osbourne. No big deal.
That's right.
No big deal. No big deal.
Patient number 9, yeah.
Oh, how amazing! That is so cool.
Yeah, that was another day. It was just like, wow, what is happening? Is today real? This is so weird. And then this picture was on Ozzy's page, which is kind of crazy. So
that was a funny skit too, or he's like, you don't eat bats. That's like 5,000 years ago or whatever.
and that turned out. I did the music video. So the latest Ozzy album, Patient Number 9. I was in the first video from that album as that bat creature.
Wow.
And after they did that, Omaze wanted to do a thing where they were giving away a car, Dodge Demon. And so they wanted the demon character from the music video. So I had to audition for that kind of, because they wanted me to do it, but then they're like, oh, we don't know if he can, like, we see he can wear the makeup, but can he do dialogue and stuff? And I had to do an audition for it because they thought about hiring somebody else. And then I got the part, which is great. So Omaze, I got to do this thing, which is actually, it was cooler to be in the music video, but for me, doing the Omaze campaign was more fun because I actually got to do dialogue with Ozzy, which was kind of neat.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. And I was on set.
Could you understand him, or did you need a translator there?
Yeah. So what's crazy is that he has trouble speaking, but when you're around him for a day, you see that he's very thoughtful. Like his brain is working really well, and he just can't speak quickly.
Well, he always mumbled. He sings great, but he always mumbled, and that's the thing. And then you throw an accent on it. You're like, yes, we do have milk in the fridge. You know, it's like trying to figure it out. Yeah.
And once he's going and he says he
That's
really
cool.
when he talks about music or things, it's very thoughtful. And you're like, okay, he's there. It's just he has so much trouble. And when he sings, it's just almost like it can come out. And the thing is, when he did the Omaze commercial and he had to deliver lines that were written, he could do it almost every time. It's more like his thought to speech is jumbled somehow.
I love the paintwork on that. That is just phenomenal.
Yeah, that was Richard Redlifson did most of it. He's done a ton of stuff. He worked on like Leonardo DiCaprio, and he worked on what was the one that the Maestro. He worked with Kazu on that, and he's done like tons of famous people. He's a really good artist. And then Chelsea Delfano was his assistant. She's also really talented too. So most of the prosthetics were painted before they went on me, but like my arms it's just my arms, and then there's some like hand prosthetics on there, and they did some kind of tissue stuff to blend the prosthetics into my arm. It's really like low tech kind of makeup stuff. But then those are the contacts McMaster loves that take up your whole eyeball.
Shane is asking how many hours in the makeup chair for that.
This is about 4 hours, but there's probably another 4 to 6 hours of painting prior on the pieces before.
Oh yeah.
Because it was like a whole back piece, a chest piece, a cowl, a neck, and a face, and then the ears. But they were mostly painted, so they just have to blend them out, and then they had to paint my arms and stuff to match, and like parts of my torso.
The layers of paint is awesome.
Yeah, they're really really cool. And when I was doing this one for the video, where the makeup room was, I could see down into the studio where they're shooting with Ozzy. So I watched, like, they shot on the music video portion that they shot with him all morning while I was getting makeup. And then we had overlap for like, I don't even know, like 2 takes or something, like very, very short moment where I got to work with him on the music video. And they brought me out. I hadn't met Ozzy yet, by the way. They brought me out. They're in the middle of a take, so the music is blasting, and he's over there singing. And it's crazy how he was at the time when they did the video, he was in a lot of pain, and he could just turn on the personality as soon as the cameras run. He would just flip it on, but the second camera's on, he was like, ugh. I don't even think it was adrenaline. I think he just wills it into action, because the second the camera stops, he was just like just looked awful, like he was dealing with a lot. So they're doing the song, and the director comes over super loud. I could barely hear anything. There's like foam over my head on top of the music. And he's just like, okay, when the solo comes up, I want you to like come up from behind Ozzy and put your hands on his shoulder. And I was like, okay. And then he goes, okay. And then he runs off.
You got that?
Like, all right, here I am with Ozzy Osbourne, who I've never even talked to. And it's like, they didn't introduce us or anything yet. And they're like, okay, so solo starts, and I creep out, do this thing, and I put my hands on his shoulder, and it's like, here I am, put my hands right on Ozzy. Don't even know him, you know. And then like after that take, they kind of introduced us, like, oh, this is the zombie, okay. And then they did another take, and kind of the same thing. And then he was done because he'd finished all his parts. So they did some photos with us, like these pictures here. They came and took these pictures, and it was crazy because they walked him over to me, and he has a cane, and he hands his cane to somebody, and then he just grabs onto my arm to hold himself up. And I'm like, oh my God, Ozzy Osbourne is with his soft hands is hanging onto my arm.
Amazing.
And I'm like, this is like, I've loved it since I was like, a kid listening to his music. So this is crazy. I'm like, oh, this is Ozzy. And but I mean, you see his face in this picture, you could tell, you could just flip it on, but in the picture be done, he'd be like, ugh. But then when we did the Omaze thing, between this video and the Omaze shoot, he had a surgery on his neck, and he felt considerably better. Like he had some like nerve that was pinching, so he was just having a lot of trouble with that. And then there's a bunch of random ones,
man.
Yeah, because what commercial was it that you did where you're
right
a zombie?
There. Go back up. Right
Yep,
there.
that's it. With
and there's one next to it too, where
Oh, the Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah.
That one was good.
Yeah. And that was there's if you go back to the page, the one right next to it, to the left of it, right there. This was, he says my name in the commercial, which I didn't know was going to happen. Like, I knew they filmed this, and was ad-libbing these lines, and we'd work together all day, so he knew my name by the end of the day. He did maybe 30 takes, and maybe 4 of them he would say my name, and I was thrilled. I told my wife, he's like, he said my name, and but when the commercial came out and it played back and it's in the commercial, I was like, oh my God, they used one of those takes, because he did a ton of funny takes where he didn't say my name. So that was just amazing. Another one where it was total luck. So I'd worked on Army of the Dead back in 2019. I was a zombie, and
great movie.
They flew me to New Mexico twice to do 2 separate parts of the shoot, and then so I'd worked with Fractured Effects, and then I worked with them on Rebel Moon, and I'd seen the owner of Fractured Effects. His name's Justin Rowley, and I was I did stuff on both Rebel Moon, the new one coming out. I was working on the second movie of some scene, and we were at lunch, and I saw Justin, who I met from Army of the Dead, and I was talking to him for a little bit, and then like 2 days later, he like calls me. He's like, hey, there's this commercial coming up. They need zombies. Can I put your name in for it? And I was like, sure. And so it turned out to be that GM commercial, and I didn't know what it was. And they had me like send in some photos of me and other zombie makeup and stuff. And I get there, and there's like 6 hero zombies, and I want to say there was like 10 or 12 background zombies that all looked really good. And the hero zombies are all done up, just like how I was. Like, look, great makeup, the whole thing. And the director comes in. He had the 6 of us line up, and he comes in, looks at us for like seconds. 20 seconds is too much, maybe like 10 seconds. He just kind of looked, and then he walked off with a couple people he's with. And then a minute later, one of his assistants comes back, and she points at me, and she goes, it looks like it's going to be you or you. She points to another guy, but probably you. Points back to me that's going to do the bite, because there's a scene at the beginning where I bite Will Ferrell's hand. And I'd seen it on the storyboard, so I was all excited. I was like, I get to bite Will Ferrell. and I go out, and it was just random. Like anybody there. My friend Bonnie, who was the girl from The Ring, that climbs out of the well. She was one of the zombies on that. She's like, it was wild. Like, I picked. It was just random. I think it's because I picked when they were doing a fittings. I got the biggest teeth possible, and it looked really weird. So I really feel like that's what put it over the top. And they used me because it looked a little goofy. But in the end scene when I'm in the truck, it was supposed to be the tiger. If you've ever seen Army of the Dead, there's the Siegfried and Roy tiger. One of those tigers is like turned into a zombie, and it was supposed to be in the truck with them. So they had written lines of dialogue to go with the zombie tiger. But they were like, at the end of the day, we can't get the tiger asset. We got to get one of the zombies and put it in. So they grabbed me again, put me back in the car. And then Will Ferrell's, they're like, can you like say some stuff? And he's like, okay. And he just did Will Ferrell stuff right at my face, which is crazy. That's
so cool.
That was my story of that. It was great.
So you were Ozzy's Kane one week, and then you were biting Will Ferrell the next week. That's
awesome. And another one that
awesome.
I'm real happy about that was also super random was I got to be in the Weird Al movie, The Weird.
Yeah.
If anybody saw that, I was David Bowie in the pool scene.
Oh, wow.
So super weird because I love UHF so much.
Yeah.
And when that one came up, I didn't have any idea it had to do with Weird Al. I thought it was the Prince documentary that I was going to be in. And when they were like, hey, you know what this is for? I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, it's a Weird Al movie. Like, oh my God. And I'm already in like fitting. It's like going to get fitted for wardrobe and stuff at this point. I had no idea. I tell my brother, I think I'm in a Prince documentary.
And then it turns into that. You're like, oh crap.
I was way better. I was more.
How does that happen? How do you feel? They don't tell you, or
sometimes but a lot of times it's like they keep stuff really under wraps. So I mean, like the Star Wars shows and stuff, all of them have these crazy code names. So if a casting thing comes out, if you don't know the code names for these shows, you might submit for it and not know that you're submitting for a Star Wars show, or there's a lot of them like that. They got
that's crazy.
Really secret code names. A lot of stuff has secret code names, and commercials, they have weird names just to keep them. So if people are writing back and forth and someone intercepts an email, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. So
it's like the military.
Yeah. And just make it, vague and stupid sound, and nobody pays attention.
Well, Blue Harvest, the whole thing with Blue Harvest.
Totally. Yeah. and horror beyond recognition or whatever.
Yeah,
what was it?
Horror beyond imagination.
Yeah, beyond imagination. It's but you know, like the whole thing where George Lucas was saying they were trying to hire contractors to do stuff, but they found out of Star Wars and they would jack the prices way up. And so by, you know, changing the name up, they could get, you know, the crews to come in and work at a normal price. And once they realized it's Star Wars, then they kicked themselves for not bidding more.
Smart tactic.
Yeah. Where did Master go? He just left.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is, who was it? As Justin was saying. So tonight's giveaways are a Chopper, an R2D2, and a C3PO. All life size. No.
Yep. Here, they're back here. There's one. And then, what else do I have around here that I could give away? Anything? I have molds I have 3PO hands and stuff. Maybe I could do that. A 3PO hand on a little display.
Yeah.
Oh, look. Oh, there's me. What is this?
So
this is. I made a boat. I can row a boat. Canoe.
Oh, look at that.
Oh yeah, that mask is over on the corner over there. And then I made that RoboCop helmet. Oh, that's.
Oh wow.
Is that the one I did?
Is that TC or is that C3PO?
That was it was a C3PO, but this is when you chrome the parts. Doing Regal Robot stuff. This is we're doing Chewbacca's for Gentle Giant, but Regal Robot was making the heads and doing all the hair work on them.
Oh, nice.
And I was working on New York at Tom's shop.
Uh-oh.
And there's one of those.
Yeah. And then we got, I think, a friend of yours, a Darren Moser, says it's always great.
Hey! I love Darren.
Hey,
how many of those IG heads did you do?
All of them. No, I did. So far, out of my mold, I've made 96 out of my mold. And that project right there was with McMaster, and that was my first time using Fusion 360. And I'd worked in 3 Studio Max and Maya and all this for years. And I was like, I got to learn Fusion 360, so I'm going to do this project in Fusion 360. And this would have taken me half an hour to do in 3 Studio Max. It took me, 2.5 days or something ridiculous. I was fighting it. Oh, God damn, this program. Like, losing my mind. But I got it done, and it came out nice.
And those look absolutely like aluminum computer interface arms. I mean, they were, when you held them, they felt like metal.
Yeah, they were all clad, and then it was I used that resin. It was kind of like impact resistant, so if you dropped them, they wouldn't break too easily.
ABS like?
You know, they were all molded and cast. They used smooth cast. I think it was 65D.
Yeah, I was gonna say 65D is what I usually use at work.
And they are pretty sturdy.
Nice.
I have the mold for that around here. I just saw it like 2 days ago, and those were for Blizzard. I was working at Frankie Bolito's shop. I just chromed those pieces. They're for the Lich King armor that Blizzard had for like their live events and stuff. Just painting things. And that's a boat I made for this Japanese film called oh my gosh, what is it called? It's like some zombie movie, some Japanese style zombie movie.
What is it with you and zombies?
I don't know. I get suckered into this. But the boat, the guy's like, can you make me a boat for like almost nothing? And it needs to float, but it doesn't need to hold a person. So it worked really well. And I really wanted to try it, but they needed to shoot with it the next day. And I was not going to be there that next day. I was like, well, I can't sink it by accident, you know? So I guess I won't try my boat.
It's so random though. They're like, hey,
and that
we know you for droids, but like, could you build a boat?
Boat.
That usually some of the stuff I make at these places is really odd. So that mask that I made, the one that's in that picture, it's actually in the room over in the corner. And
I'm trying to recognize what shows that is.
That's it, all my own IP. And I was gonna do a thing. I wanted to make like 8 or 10 alien masks that felt like they could be in the Star Wars cantina, but they were not Star Wars masks. They were just my own creations. And I just made them. But this one was in a Snoop Dogg video. I was in a video with Snoop Dogg and Ice Cube. And I got me sitting next to Ice Cube. And then I used it in a Manscaped commercial. And I rented it to... There's some Hulu show that I got to do this alien at some party scene, and it was like Joey Fatone was in it. I can't remember the name of the show. It's like that best friends forever. something like that. It was
and
like
the music video.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Another music video. That was for Nerdist that they paid way too much money for everything, and it got like 14,000 views.
Oh my god!
And I had a droid. Remember, like that big light fixture caught on fire, and I was just standing there in the droid suit, and everybody like ran away from the table, and they're like, somebody came in. I think somebody dragged me out. Like, it wasn't like falling, like, big, but like fire started to happen, and everybody like left the set. I'm standing in a droid thing I couldn't see. And somebody like, oh my gosh, get away from that lamp! Get away from that lamp!
Wow, that's scary, man.
Yeah.
I'm still laughing in my head that this was in a Manscaped commercial.
Yeah. Oh, the Manscaped one was great. I got to work with Jamie Costa. He's like this really good voice actor. He's done tons of stuff. Jamie's amazing. I got to do some other Manscaped stuff with him too. Is like as my face, I got to be his butler character. I kind of channeled a little bit of 3PO, and it was always like, do these tasks that are ridiculous and then look at my balls kind of thing. So, because it was like,
you don't shave your neck awareness.
That sounds like a good Saturday night. Yeah.
It was pretty fun. It was fun to work with.
That's hilarious.
Let's see what else is in this video. This one is like, and then I sculpted the RoboCop. I sculpted the helmet, and the suit was already existing, but the guy, that's actually Sam Macaroni, who I brought up earlier, that got me and McMaster together. That's him in the suit. And just today, I went to a party at a shop when I first got to California. Again, this is one of those things where I did the little pucks for the ears. This is before I had a 3D printer, so I milled them on a big lathe. And I didn't have access to a lathe at the time, so Studio ADI, who did like Trimmers and Starship Troopers and all these movies, was painting the costume for my friends. So I asked them if they had, someone that could lathe these parts, and they're like, "Oh, just come in. If you know how to, the sizes, you can just do it." And I go into the shop, which I've seen since I was a kid in like Cinefex magazine, all this. I'm like in their studio, and this guy Dave is like, who I hung out with all day today. Like, I spent my whole lunch with this guy. I haven't really hung out with him since this day that I'm talking about back in 2014. He's like, oh yeah, you just use this giant industrial lathe, and here's the chuck. Just make sure you pull the chuck out, and then you let me know if you need anything. He just walked off, and I'm like, wow, okay,
that's awesome. No waiver signed or nothing.
Nope. Yeah. You're gonna rip my arm off by accident, maybe.
No
but
safety training. Yep.
I look out the windows, and it's like you see, the pilot from Castaway that washes up on the beach. He's like hanging up on the wall, and there's like the giant brain bug from Starship Troopers is in there.
Oh no!
And it's just like I'm like, I can't believe I'm sitting in here. This is again one of those moments where I'm like, how am I here right now? This is crazy.
So cool.
I thought for a minute there you were going to say that they were all standing up against the wall, like watching you do the lathe.
It felt like it.
Look at
The studio is huge. They've since like that studio closed down, and then the one of the owners started a new studio called Studio Gillis, which is where I was at today for lunch, and it was.
Oh, dude, Alex Gillis is amazing.
Yeah, Alec Gillis is really awesome, and he's super funny. He's a super funny guy. And before I moved to California, I randomly on the ADI website, answer some question, and they sent me an autographed book. And I was telling Alec, I've worked with him now like since December, like a bunch. And I was like, I have a book that you sent me when I lived in Florida like 11 years ago with your autographs in it. And he's super cool. It's a very funny guy. He could be a comedian. Literally could be a comedian if he wasn't doing practical effects stuff,
Awesome.
Very cool. Michael, tell us about this one.
Oh, this is on 6th Avenue in New York City. And you'll see there, we had an assistant who was specifically in charge of getting Wally across the street. So you see her holding his hand.
Aww.
And she said, "Oh, I'll hold your hand." So I raised the arm up, and she goes, "Oh," she starts tearing up a little bit. And you see how slow he is. And the lights are really short in New York. And of course, they love their horns anyway. So the cab drivers absolutely hated Wally. And we would get about a third of the way across. Already cabs are honking at us, and people are flipping us off, and it's like, yeah, there was no love for Wally at all.
Welcome to New York.
Yeah,
I know, right?
And the other funny thing was we drove all the way around the block to get some B-roll, and it was early in the morning. People are trying to get to work, with their briefcases and all that, and they're trying to get around him. And they were literally, everybody, almost 100% were irritated or annoyed that he was taking up space on the sidewalk.
That's sad.
We had one woman who drove by, and she almost got in a car accident because she screamed Wally and hit the brakes. And we had another girl who was across the street and saw him, and she stepped right out into traffic and almost got hit. So then we had to have people on both sides of the street to try to do a little crowd control.
Yeah.
But we ran into maybe 3 or 4 super fans that lost their minds when they saw him, but everybody else was pretty much just irritated. Poor guy. But
that could be sad on both sides. I mean, stepping out in traffic.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, Wally, oops, accident.
But what I remember about that trip was we, after we were done shooting, they had a scene in Pixar in Real Life where they're handing out all the foods that you had on the Axiom. You had pizza in a cup, hot dog in a cup, and it was something that they had concocted in a laboratory. It was this mashed up, mixed up goop in 5-gallon buckets. They were scooping out into little paper cups so people could sample it. And this stuff was vile. I mean, we were all, the guy putting it into the cups was retching everybody around him. And there was one of the crew, one of the union guys, he's drinking a hot dog in a cup. He goes, that's not so bad. The rest of us are literally like, he's shoving it in my face. Here, try it. And I'm like, oh, no thanks.
The only way I'm trying this is
looked like a cup full of vomit. And it smelled very similar. And
I'll try this. You give me that floating wheelchair.
It's like it's like the Saturday Night Live skit, right? What was it, the Bass-O-Matic, where he's like, put stuff in it.
Everything, the whole bass.
Yeah, the whole bass.
Gross.
Yeah, gross. Yeah. Hot dog in a cup. That sounds disgusting.
Totally.
But it was a fun shoot. A lot of people, the people that wound up in the show, there was one woman who, we always get a crier with Wally. And there was this one girl who just wept when she saw him. And she actually lingered around after she signed her release.
I think it's one I got a long time ago when I did a 3PO race for Disney. I don't know.
Oh, go ahead. I muted.
We're all listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny. You always get a handful of super fans with Wally. It's those big eyes, and they just sit there, men and women, who will just hold his hand and bawl their eyes out.
The Puss in Boot eyes.
Have you done Eve? Have you done Eve before?
Yeah,
I have not. I'd really like to. What people don't realize is Eve is not the same size as Wally. She is 1.5 times bigger.
Really?
She's absolutely enormous.
Wow.
And when you go back, watch the movie, look at some still images, she is huge. And she's that kind of clear, plastic, translucent. She looks like an old, the old IMAX, like the Blueberry iMac or whatever. But so a little bit difficult to build. I really would like to do it right, where it had like a clear body on top of a painted body,
that'd be cool.
Try to make it float, kind of like Maximilian. But man, there's you use those teeth with an alien, and that video has gone around.
Got some more.
A million times.
Got some more here. I got a lot of weird teeth here.
I've got some of Gordon's original drawings here, but I probably can't show those. They're veiny, if that gives you any idea.
They are veiny. The most veiny drawings I've ever done by a long shot.
If you've seen the end of Superbad, you pretty much see what Gordon draws on a daily basis in my workshop in random places.
You were the kid in Superbad.
Yeah. No, they work pretty good. They are pretty good.
They're all up there somewhere up on my workshop, up in an area where people can't see them. They have to go and flip them over.
Some only Gordon.
Yeah, it defeats the purpose when nobody can see them, though. Oh, like some random
There
ones.
we
I'm
go. I
actually
found that
doing.
video.
Oh,
there it is.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
These teeth are. They're a football mouth guard that I got like 20 years ago. And what's crazy is my wife, the first time we met in person, she came in. I was working, and she came to my work. And when she walked in the room, I had them in my mouth. The very first time she saw me, I had these teeth. And I got them for $1. They're stupid, but they amused me for a long time. They're almost as good as one of the like fart boxes you can go terrorize everybody with.
And oddly enough, his wife had the same teeth.
She did. They're amazing.
Wow.
Match made in heaven.
I was trying to. I went black because I was trying to eat real quick right when you guys were talking about puke in a cup. So just wanted to thank you guys so much.
I'm so hungry.
Yeah.
You guys learn anything new from all the recent stuff Prop Store has been selling?
Well, it's like the C-3PO head and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. References.
Somewhat. So I've done work for Prop Store for about 10 years, almost 10 years, like 2014. So I'm getting close to 10 years doing work for Prop Store. So I've been in there lots of times. I've seen multiple C-3PO pieces come through. And I got some weird argument with some people online about this Prop Store, the hands. And I couldn't see them well, but to me, they looked like there was a thing that in the lighting looked like Return of the Jedi hands. And then the guy's like, oh, it says Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi on there. And I was like, well, it's one or the other because they're different. And people don't seem to realize that because they look the same. And actually, they might be Empire Strikes Back hands, and that was the lighting. But if they're a set, they're either Empire Strikes Back or the Return of the Jedi, but they're not both. So if it's one hand from one movie, one another, that makes sense. But if it's a set, they're Return of the Jedi or the Empire Strikes Back, and they're almost the same, but there's a little difference. And I'm getting in a fight with people and getting all worked up over some goofy thing on here. But through Prop Store, I've had access to multiple 3PO parts, like in person, like held them and had chances to look at stuff, very, very close up and kind of see the insides of hands and stuff, which has been really cool. Feet, stuff like that too. God, Prop Store, that place. I've done so much stuff for Prop Store over the years. Wow. It's cool stuff for Prop Store that I've worked on. I've worked on the 2001 Space Odyssey hangar, actual hangar that's on the space station. That's on the poster. When they were done production, there's pictures of that big space station in a field just like busted. But you'll notice the hangar part is missing, and someone got it. And then it came and lived on my kitchen table for like 6 months. And I was meticulously putting pieces back. Now I do all this, any of that restoration stuff it goes through Tom Spina. So with the exception of TikTok from Return to Oz, I did for Brandon Allinger and did a full like restoration on that thing, which was supposed to be a repaint, but it ended up being like a crazy amount of work. But that was one of my favorite other robots from films, and it was in my house for like a year and a half and just lived in my living room. And yeah, Prop Store is awesome. But yeah, for the 3PO stuff, it's giving me access, not necessarily this auction, but the previous auctions. I've seen stuff come through there that's very, very informative to me, which is really cool. So yeah, I like Prop Store. Cool. And I like the guys that run it. They're really cool.
Is there any prop that you came across within the last, 10 years that you're like, that's it? That's all it was?
All the time. The time. There's so many things where you see the paint and it's just like looks garbage in person. And it'll be like the hero thing. But if you take a picture of it, looks great in a pic. And I always said that's the thing that amazes me the most is prop builders know what they can get away with. And they just do these fast paint jobs and it'll look so bad. Yes. Like if I was doing it in person, I would just be like, oh God. But they just know from experience that if they put it in front of camera, it's going to look fine. And it always does. Anything reflective in a movie, metal, is like 1/10 as reflective in person as you think it is. Like if you take a picture, it looks way shinier, And so stuff like that was really informative to me, just seeing so many props come through that, look just like metal. And you see it up close, and it's like garbage,
Yeah.
To Captain America's shield, the stump version of it is so bad. Like the paint is just.
Well, they can still get away with it to some degree. I mean, the quality has gotten better. There's less grain in film, or it's cleaner, or sharper, 4K, 8K, whatever. So I would think you could get away with less now than you could 30 years ago.
This is 100% true, and that's why shops like Weta, everything that they make looks amazing. So their swords, the hero sword that's really metal, and the cheapest, junkiest stunt sword, they have multiple versions. They'll have like different versions of stunt swords. They have some that are like rubber, like fighting swords, and they have like really, really lightweight foam swords that are just for carrying it, but they're all like the same, look the same. And you literally have to go pick them up to see which one's which, because they look so uniform and just beautiful. Weta does beautiful work. Of all the studios that I've seen, just their work is just consistently amazing. So if you see a Weta prop come up, like they had those costumes from like Great Wall on this, like tons of those kind of like, those Chinese like warrior costumes. They had tons of them there, and every single one of them was amazing. And then like World of Warcraft, they did all the costumes for that. Beautiful movie, sort of doofy, but the costumes were phenomenal. Spectral, also movies kind of dumb, costumes amazing. All the props beautiful, amazing. Same thing, stunt ones. In the real ones, you have to go pick them all up, figure it out. It's awesome.
That is cool.
But
Very
that
cool.
prop store is super cool. I highly recommend going if you get a chance.
Love to.
One day, got to make it out to LA again.
You just come on out and then break in. Prop stores in Valencia. I'll tell you right where it is. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Do you have to? Yeah, if you're going to buy something there, is it better to have your kidney on ice or pre-wrapped, or do you just take it out right there?
Just take it out. You want to be as fresh as possible for the maximum value, because otherwise, good luck. It'd be a bummer to take your kidney out and then it's just iced a little too long. It's no good. And then, I missed the auction.
Yep.
What if they let you pay like that? Like you have like PayPal or whatever, like they're like, well, I could pay cash or I can give an organ.
Well, no, that would be bad because your wife would probably come with some sort of body part going, you don't need these. So,
Kidney pal.
I mean, no good.
You definitely need that stuff.
So let me bring up something for Michael real quick, because we're almost at our 2-hour mark here.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So this is Michael's website, McMasterRobots.com.
Yeah.
Some of the clients here. Look at these projects.
Man, that Sandcrawler is so
I
cool.
know, right? I just want that on the back wall.
Sandcrawler was a favorite.
Was that for Mandalorian?
So it was a photo op for Star Wars Celebration for the R2 builders, and it was supposed to be just a small section, like an 8-foot wide by 12-foot tall piece. And then we thought, well, what if we made half of it? So we get half of it made, and it's like, well, man, that sure would be cool to have one complete 1-to-1 scale tread, and so that's what we wound up with.
Wow.
So how big was it?
So it was 36 feet long from end to end. It was 12 feet tall. And it is, in fact, a 1-to-1 scale representation of the original.
Wow.
So where did it go?
So in that photo there, it was living at Rancho Obi-Wan in Petaluma, California. Unfortunately, a series of storms up there with 60-mile-an-hour winds destroyed it. It actually no longer exists. Only a few pieces, and I think Gordon still has a few of the molds. Gordon molded all the tread braces for it, and some of the wheels, the small idler wheels, which I'm sure gave him nightmares.
No, it was like I had a whole thing there's all the tread parts. First of all, we had a sponsor, BJB, gave us resin and foam, but not enough. So I had to cut corners with how much I was using, and I did 3 a day to get it in time. I had to do 1 in the morning. As soon as I woke up, I would run a casting, and then I was working at full time. So at lunch, I would do a casting. I would demold it, do a casting at lunch, and then after work, demold, do a casting, and then in the morning repeat until I made all of those pieces. And because they gave us so little material, and my core mold actually got stuck and got ruined in one, I ended up using literal trash because I didn't have the money to front extra foam. So I'm putting anything to take up volume inside the foam inside there. And McMaster had to trim the bottom. And some of them had coffee cans.
I had to trim them. Yeah, I'm using the ones that were just expanded foam. I've got my power saw and I'm just knocking them out. And all of a sudden, I saw him hit something and it is not budging. And he put like a steel can in there. And I'm like, oh. And then Gordon said, oh, yeah, some of those may be a little sketchy. I flipped them over. They are full of garbage. They are plastic bottles and soup cans and sneakers, underpants. And
underpants.
Probably. And the best things that I could use was when I had like a cardboard, like like those cardboard kind of like coffee creamer things. Those are great because they're hollow. You could cut right through them. But I just had to make them, and sometimes it just was like I didn't have a thing, and I'm like, what am I going to put in this one? And I'm looking around my neighbor's trash, and then
for space fillers.
And the thing is, like the very first ones I made a core that would fit in there to like make it hollow, but it got stuck and it ruined it, and there was no time to remake it. So I was just like, well, I guess I got to cut corners some other way.
It lived in one of the molded pieces.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, lots of them were full of that stuff. Fortunately, you didn't have to cut all of them. You didn't have to get caught, but there was mystery stuff in every single one. Remember, some of them would rattle. Like if you went like this, there'd be like containers in there that had like things so they could rattle.
They had baby teeth in them or something.
Baby teeth.
Gordon, you got any trash, neighbor? No, but I have these baby teeth. Okay.
I don't care how you got them.
Yeah. That door. I'm just looking at that door.
So that was the very first large-scale prop I built. That was for Star Wars Celebration 4 in LA. And myself and 4 other... I built all the big pieces. Chris Lee made the vacuum form panels on the sides. Jerry Green made some pieces. Jim Shima made the electronics for it. And we had that as a photo op. We had droids in it, R2 and 3PO. And it wound up, Steve Sansweet picked it up, and it is now the door to the second half of his museum. And he has a monitor up there in the upper right. And he has this little video where a stormtrooper looks up, and you're like, you don't need to see our identification. And it's really kind of a cute thing. But it lives on.
I was going to say, there's certain things in Star Wars, you just see it. It doesn't have to be a character. Certain things, you're just like, that's it. And the Tantive door is one of those things, because the first time seeing it in A New Hope, where they blast through it, and it's just etched in my brain. So anything that has that white look, and I love anything that gives you that kind of feel. You're just like, oh, I know what that is. I know what that is,
Well, and it's fun that it's in a museum that's full of Star Wars collectibles.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good work. I'm going to try to make it out there this summer to Ranch Obi-Wan.
It's amazing.
Chopper getting ready to go kill hundreds of people. That's awesome.
Yeah. Chopper
right here.
It's just literally half-second appearance.
Yeah.
Blink and you miss it.
Be like, that's my kid.
Yeah, that's great.
R2-D2 replica.
Yeah, that's one of many R2-D2s that are out there. I've built a bunch.
Do you guys still argue about which color blue it is?
So, well, I don't, because my blue wound up being the official for Disney droids and Lucasfilm. But others can debate it if they want.
That's awesome.
And Pixar in real life, so that isn't Photoshop. That is a photo of the droid. The photographer ran out. He had a camera with a soft, flash on it. Oh
yeah.
And the cabs behind us are honking and probably flipping us off.
From a little bit of a distance from the screen, they look like animated eyes, and then it's like when you go into it, you're like, no, those are actual lenses. What a trip!
Yeah, so I found a pair of video projector lenses on eBay real cheap. And so I just gutted those and took the internals, tried to keep it as light as possible, and I shoved those in there. The outer lens I made myself. It's a piece of acrylic that we heated up and then vac formed. We just put it over a cup or over the tube of a vacuum cleaner and gave it that curved appearance.
Wow.
What a great
the day before that shoot, I happened to be in New York also at Tom Spina's shop, and McMaster's like, I'm going to be in New York. And I'm like, I'm coming into the city. We went and we walked around. How late? We walked like 7 or 8 miles that night.
We
walked down to the
walked 7
Ghostbusters
miles.
building.
Yeah, we walked 7 miles through the city in the middle of the night, and we wound up at the Ghostbusters firehouse.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
That was fun. And it was just random.
Whenever there's a chance for an adventure, we take it.
Oh yeah.
So we got a super chat here. So when we put these up and we play this Tusken Raider noise, we all go like this. So if you can join us.
Yeah. We got everybody.
Wow, that felt weird. I feel tingly.
Yeah.
I want to rip a droid's arm off now.
We were talking about this earlier. Have either one of you guys seen? There's what is it on HBO?
Amazon Prime.
Amazon
Ricky
Prime.
Stenicki, yeah.
Ricky Stenicki. And if you've seen it, there's this scene where they're talking about I can't think of his name right now, where he does something when he's trying to make a point. He does something with his fist a certain way, which is suggestive of something else. Well, when we would do this, at some point, it was like it was changing into all these different things. And when you see that movie, you'll get the idea.
Get it under control, guys.
Yeah. We're like, Scott, what are you doing, man?
I'm like, yeah. And it's like, no, you don't want to do that. You don't. Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's too funny.
Yeah, mouse droid. I like the mouse droid.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
RX droid. They painted that, and they did not wind the cable around the neck of RX, and I was not thrilled because McMaster put a lot of work into finding the correct cable that would like sit properly when it was wound around the neck.
It was wound around.
When it got on the show, the painters had taken it apart, put it all back together, and didn't rewind the beautiful cable that goes up to his head. I was like, no, what's going on?
It looked so nice, but
yeah. Wow. It was just it's just right. It was just right. And then I guys on the show, I'm like, what happened?
And a fun fact, we built several of these, but one of them is receiving the Mandalorian's weapons, the TSA agent.
Oh, yeah.
Before he goes on his trip. And then the other one is, giving his stuff back at the end when he lands on Tarpley.
So were these the same models that you used for the casino scene that we saw up top?
They are the same droid.
Same droids. We made different visors.
Oh, okay.
And they repainted. The visors were kind of crazy too because it was super last minute. Realized that they were supposed to be translucent green because the artwork they gave us is gray and solid gray. And it turned out they're supposed to be translucent green, like a dealer visor.
Right.
So what was it? 3 days before? And
well, it was like 2 days before because Doug Chang had emailed me saying, I don't see in any of the photos the green visor. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, card dealers need the clear green visor. And I look at Gordon and we're panicking. And so he we drew it up. I guess we already had the visor.
We had the visor. You printed it in clear
in the Phenom, and then we tinted it green, clear.
Yeah.
Green
So McMaster printed clear resin, which was it's pretty. It's like looks translucent, but the thing is, it's really really clear. And if you put a clear coat over it, it looks clear. So I did basically what I do to 3PO, and I just tinted it with auto clear coat, but I tinted it green. And I think we did 2 passes. I did one and I sent it and you're like, oh, it's not green enough. And I gave it another blast. And then we had backups. We made a bunch and they came out. They looked great. And it was just so like skin of the teeth, barely get it done because nobody said anything. They don't give us because we're outside of their internal prop group. We didn't get much art. So it was like, okay, good luck.
Yeah. But I'll follow that up with you saying Doug Chang email you.
Yeah,
it's cooler than anything that's ever happened to me in my life. So even if he's yelling at you,
it's probably one of those emails. You're like, oh man, what did I do wrong?
Sometimes I see who's sending it and I panic. I really do.
I
start to sweat. And I love the mouse droids. My favorite scene was in season 3 of Mandalorian, where
yes.
The mouse droids come out with their little flashing lights, and they surround the
Team up on
R5, and everything in that scene we built. And
really?
So that's like literally a highlight for me, I would say, because it's just all our droids acting together. But we originally built 5 mouse droids, and they call me and say, hey, we want to have a 6th mouse droid that can drive over the ledge, like a stunt droid, because they had like a foam pit, but they were afraid of breaking the 5 they had because they had become kind of attached to them. We named them. They all had cheese names. There was Brie and Gouda and Chad and all that. And so they become attached to them and said, "Oh, we don't want to wreck that one. Can you make one?" I said, "Well, when do you need it?" And they said, "Well, we need it Monday." Literally, like,
of course.
Okay. So I look around the shop. All I have is my personal mouse droid, and I said, "Well, see you later, sucker." So he's actually it's my personal droid you see going over the ledge, and somebody made a video where it's the Wilhelm scream.
Yes.
As it goes over. I love that.
That's too funny.
Wow. So did it survive, or is it toast?
Oh no, it was fine. It was a foam pit.
Oh, okay.
It landed, and now it lives there with all the others. So, okay, so this was when we were promoting Rogue One, and they wanted obviously a Nissan Rogue, and they mocked it up as kind of an X-wing-ish looking thing. And so we made the dome, and we had it on a remote control, and it had sound. So when people walked up to it, the dome could follow people, look at them, and chatter, talk to them.
Oh, that's cool.
And so they took a brand new Nissan Rogue, and they took it to this body shop in Burbank, and they cut a hole in the roof. We had to give them the exact dimensions of the dome, and they cut a hole in it. We had this mechanism we built that dropped down inside, and it was the same shop that builds all the cars for the Fast and Furious. So when we were there fitting the dome, here are all these cars in the background that were, they were working on for those movies.
I like
so
Burbank.
cool.
Burbank area is awesome.
Oh, yeah, I like Burbank.
Bad boy.
Very cool. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So before we call it a night, I do want to ask you guys a question each. What's your guys' favorite Star Wars movies?
Ooh.
Well, for me, it's the original, because I'll never forget the feeling of seeing something that was, nobody had seen before.
It's a beautiful
I love
movie.
that movie. Of course, I love Empire, and I love Rogue One. Rogue One now ranks way up there for me. It just has all the right vibes,
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Good ensemble cast, great story.
Well, it's cool that they brought the old stuff in, like when they're getting ready to attack the Death Star. You're seeing all those clips be brought back in, and you're like, "How did they do it? This is awesome!"
The battle over Scarif, hands down, is my favorite. With X-wings and Y-wings,
it's so good.
Perfection.
Yeah.
No, I'm almost exact same. So it'd be like New Hope, Empire, Jedi. I think Rogue One I like. If I had to choose which one I like more, I think of Rogue One maybe a tiny bit more. But I have so much nostalgia for Jedi because of all of them, I think I've watched it the most because we had a VHS as a kid and I watched it so much. And
you were the right age.
Yeah. It was it was great. Yeah. And New Hope still same thing. It's my favorite. If I had to pick, a lot of people pick Empire. Mm-hmm. I think Empire might be slightly better as a movie, but it wouldn't exist without New Hope. So it's
Well, there's something with New Hope. That's the first time you saw lightsabers. It's the first time you saw Vader. It's the first time you saw Stormtroopers, R2. See, just all those first. And for me, being 7 at the time, my parents thought I'd fall asleep in the theater, and it's just that Star Destroyer. No, I just glued to it. I mean, and nothing. There's so many other movies out there that I absolutely love, but nothing has ever hit me the way Star Wars has hit me.
Same.
Ever.
No, it's so good. Yep.
All the world building, the aliens in the cantina. It's just
I think it's the same for most of us. Yeah. I mean, that's why we love it so much, and we're still collecting it, and it still means a big thing. It just struck you in the chord, and the feels the correct way, or whatever. I don't know.
And whenever people are going to show their young kids,
because think about movies prior to that, science fiction. They didn't have scores like that.
No,
none of them did.
It was amazing.
I mean, the John Williams score, that's iconic. And
that immediate bam when you see it hit out with the logo, and you're just like, "Whoa!"
I knew you were in for a ride.
Yeah.
I always want parents that if they're going to show it to their kids, like you got to show it in the release order. Don't show it in the order that it's supposed to be in, because like it plays together in the way
perfectly
things a certain way that if you see it in the correct 1 through 9 or whatever, it kind of ruins some surprises that happen. And
yeah,
I don't know.
4, 5, and 6 done.
And there are things, even as a kid, I love that they didn't show Jabba until Return of the Jedi. I love that. And when they added him back in, I was like, no.
If it was that actor, it would have.
Yeah, and they just didn't need to show it. It was so good that they didn't, because he mentions it. You know, it's in your head. You know, Han Solo mentions it. From Greedo mentions it. You know. And then when you finally get the reveal, it's way more impactful than I saw him one time in another movie. Like, it just didn't need to be there at all.
Well, I always go back to the original. I know George did the special editions, and there's some cool things with it. Don't get me wrong, like the Wampa scene, right, where you see the Wampa stand up and come out. I think that's a good added piece.
And the Cloud City stuff I thought was good when they took out the walls and a little more windows. I like that. I'm okay with that.
But like original A New Hope, I've got like the 4K version or whatever that was done, and it's still more the original. There's not those extras, and I love it so much more. I just do. Even though the ships are a little bit slower when they're flying, whatever it is, I still love it more. There's something about it.
Totally.
But the other thing I was going to say is how many of you, and you guys sitting out there in the chat, went through, because I was so young, the 20th Century Fox theme, you know, that beginning?
Yeah.
To me was so connected to Star Wars, that opening, that every time I heard it, I was like,
Star Wars.
Yeah. And when they played it without it for the first time, I was like, because remember there was like when Disney got it, it didn't have
it, yeah.
And I'm like, what? It's
what
just,
happened to the beginning?
Just buy that sound, please. Now they got Fox, so they can do it, but like, just play the sound. Just play that one little clip. I know the fanfare. We need it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, there was something. They were connected for the longest time. So, what's up? Funny stuff. Well, thank you guys so much.
Anytime, man. I love doing these things. This is fun.
So Jason, Jeff, Joel, any last questions for the guys before we call it a night?
I don't have any questions. Other than it is. I'm kind of silent because it is a little bit starstruck tonight, because it's like I followed you guys for a long time on Instagram and all the stuff.
Thank
so
you. Don't be. I feel as normal as anything. So I was like,
except you got to remember he was Ozzy's.
Disappointed.
Yeah, he was Ozzy's Kane, and then he was biting Will Ferrell later. So yeah, besides that, he's just a normal dude.
Yep.
But it's amazing.
Again, I'm telling you, all those things just randomly fall in my lap. I didn't go, so it's just stupid luck of the draw. So don't think anything special about it. Just right place, right time.
His lap was Manscaped, so
yeah. Oh yeah, my lap is super Manscaped. Maybe that's what got me the things. Actually, I don't know.
That's so funny.
What does it say? I love Burbank.
Oh yeah, Burbank is great.
Zena, she's up in Washington. I love Burbank. There's something about Burbank that is great. When sometimes my company will do things where we got to go up, because center staging is an area right there where a lot of big artists rehearse before they go on tour.
Yeah.
So I work for a music company. I'm a product specialist. And so a lot of times we're in that area with doing camps or whatever. We have an office in there. So, but just being in the Burbank area, I just absolutely
let us know when you're here.
Okay. Yeah. You're up there?
We'll give you the grand tour.
I used to live like 10 minutes from Burbank. I live further now, but I'm in town like 3 or 4 times a week. So I'm not, if I could drive there in under an hour. So
I'm in San Diego, so it's a couple hours from me, but it's not bad. And I absolutely love Burbank Airport. That is going to be the best airport to go through.
One. Yeah.
You're like, do I need to take my shoes off and go through my bag? They're like,
do you even need to go through security? Just,
just go.
I'd show up
your plane
10 minutes before the plane gets there.
And they're putting like a cigarette in your mouth and lighting it, and you're like, what's going on here?
They have like literal like the stairs going up to the plane out on the runway.
I know out there they take you out to the tarmac and they load the plane from the front and the rear.
That's the best.
Which is amazing. Yeah, it's so cool.
So great.
All right, enough of Burbank.
Awesome.
Cool.
Exactly.
No, so I want to thank you, Michael. Thank you, Gordon, for being here tonight.
Yeah, anytime.
Awesome stories. Appreciate your time. And for those of you guys in TV land watching us, go follow these guys on social media. Michael McMaster, Gordon Tarpley. You can find them. Just very easy to find them. And thank you for being here tonight. So
that was fun.
It's a true honor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and hang out for a second when we shut it down. Just hang out for a second.
We'll talk about all the people in the chat.
We'll talk about everything that they can't hear about. Exactly.
All the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, we have some other videos to show you.
Yeah.
Whoa. All right.
We'll be back again. We'll be back
as long
again
as
next
it
Friday.
doesn't have anything to do with manscaping, I think we're good. But go ahead.
So we'll be back again next Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern. To finish up some Bad Batch and go over some collecting updates and news. So thank you guys. Until then, have a good night. May the force be with you.
Thank you.